Well, I guess we'll just go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone. My name is Zachary Ray. I'm the Partnerships and Business Manager here at One Valley. It's a pleasure to be having you today. Kind of really trying to kick off this month with a bang. Mental Health Awareness Month, obviously, is something that we're pretty cognizant about here at One Valley. Entrepreneurs often struggle with that kind of subject: burnout, fatigue, criticism fatigue, constant pivots, late hours, and not a lot of thank yous and a lot of no's. So today we're going to be visited by Matthew Cook, partner at Evolution. We're really looking forward to kind of what he has to bring to bear here. I'm sure he'll go ahead and talk a little bit about his pedigree and as his experience of an entrepreneur. But before we get into that, I just wanted to go ahead and highlight kind of who we are and what we do here at One Valley. One Valley is the world's most comprehensive digital innovation platform, connecting entrepreneurs, emerging startups, and with vital resources, networks, significant savings, and a lot of tools that you guys are already using, like Zoom and AWS and Slack and a whole bunch of others. Over $1 million in perks with basically a lot of services you're already using and rendering. So we are here for you guys, and we like to put on events such as today, where we're supporting the entrepreneurial ecosystem, both mentally and physically. That being said, I'm joined here today by Matthew Cook. Matthew, thank you for joining me.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So happy to be here with y'all.
Excellent. And I'm just going to go ahead and hand off the mic to you, and looking forward to it today. Appreciate it.
Sweet. Cool. Thank you so much. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen. Awesome. Well, so incredibly excited to be here with y'all. Let's go ahead and just take a moment and drop it in the chat. I want to know where everyone's coming in from. So go ahead and drop in the chat where you're coming in from. And also make sure you have a notebook available. I'm gonna give you a couple instructions right now. So have a notebook available to you so you can take some good notes. And then just silence all notifications, turn off your phone as best as you can, because what I want to really encourage is that if you're here, really be here. Like, otherwise there's so many other beautiful, amazing things you can be doing. And I want to encourage that hopefully you're here for a reason. And this is Mental Health Awareness Month, the month of May. And so I'm really excited to be here with you guys. And I'm going to give you absolutely everything that I have for the next hour, including some Q&A time at the end. So we're going to have about 15, 20 minutes at the end to do some Q&A. So I'm really excited to support y'all on your journey as an entrepreneur. So please do fully show up, bring all of your presence, because this is going to be a lot of fun. And we have a lot to get through. So I'm going to try to hustle right through it. So I'll open up the chat really quick. So I'm seeing San Jose, Vancouver, Erica's in Lake Tahoe, Brooke is in St. Paul, Manhattan, Kansas, Baltimore, Maryland. Oh, got some Austin, Texas. I hail from Austin at the moment. So Ron is in Chicago. Okay, this is awesome. I love it. Well, very, very grateful y'all are here. So let's get rocking. Today, we're going to be talking about balance over burnout. And obviously, as we said, with mental health awareness. So I'm going to just start out really briefly. Instead of boringly reading you my bio, I'm going to tell you a really quick story. So I got started in entrepreneurship quite early on. In fact, I was part of a startup where we were building the Netflix for optimal living. We were building the Netflix for optimal living. And the idea being, let's build a company where people are going to binge watch self-development. That was the idea. And I remember we were in the hustle and the grind, and we were all about it. It was TGIM. Thank God it's Monday. And we were working 70-hour work weeks. And this is in my really early 20s. And I remember at the time, I was actually using, and I was prescribed it, but I was using Adderall. And we're going to actually get into that in a moment, in a little bit here with some of the mental health stuff. But I would even say abusing Adderall, because I just needed every stimulant, every kind of thing to get me to such a high level of stimulation in order to just simply get through a day. And I was head of content creation. So I got to work with all the world, 200 of the world thought leaders, and everything from neuroscience to productivity to conscious business to conscious parenting to mindfulness and spirituality, health and fitness, you name it. So I got paid to have probably the best education on the planet from some of the smartest people on it. And so I was incredibly honored. And so as a result, I worked my tail off. I worked so incredibly hard. And at 24 years old, I was in a relationship with a woman. And I remember waking up one morning and I couldn't even turn over to reach my phone in bed because I was so exhausted. Like, I mean this literally. My body was actually just giving out. I was getting sick 2 to 4 times a month. And this is not an exaggeration. My body, my adrenals just completely gave out. I was officially burnt out at 24 years old. So if any of y'all are anywhere older than 24 years old, you are potentially at risk. And even if you're in your early 20s. And at that time, she, instead of feeling bad or saying, "Oh, sweetie, let me get your phone," or "I'm so sorry," she actually just started screaming at me. And she said, this is bullshit. And pardon, I may swear every once in a while, this is bullshit. Like, why are you not available? You're not present at home because you're constantly working. And then at times you're not able to work. So then you're sick home at bed, in the bed at home, and you're not present there, obviously, either, because you're sick. And so it was like, I wasn't really present at work and I wasn't really present at home because I was so unbalanced. And she left. And I remember actually her leaving, slamming the door and thinking, she may never come back. And I looked at my Chase app on my phone and I had $4.82 in my account because I was spending all of my money on I'm sorry dinners and buying her flowers and buying her jewelry and doing everything that I could instead of just actually simply being present with her as a partner, to try to make her life better. I was doing whatever I could, but I wasn't actually just simply being present with myself or with her. And so I really made it on that day. I mean, that was the moment that it was like, I need to figure out what's going on with my body. I need to figure out what's going on with my mind and why they're not working together. Why are these things not working right now? And so I made it my mission. I've spent well over $100,000 at this point on training and development and learning to really better understand the nervous system. So I really come from a science-based approach in the way that I do my work, but also just in leadership development and sales and marketing and operations. So when it comes to being an entrepreneur, I really get it. I still very much so am an entrepreneur. I'm a consultant now with Evolution, but I am very much so an entrepreneur just like you. So I just want to say, like, I get it. And it sucks some days, some weeks, some months, some quarters, even some years. And so I just want to acknowledge all the work that you're putting in at the moment, and so grateful that you're here today. So let's move on here and just take a moment. Let's just take a moment simply to ground, and then we'll really get into some content. So I want to give you guys a lot of really tangible things that you can do today that are going to make your life and your world a better place. So go ahead and just close down your eyes for just a moment. Feel your butt in your chair. Feel your feet on the ground. And feel your shoulders as they slowly roll down your back. So you can lift them up towards your ears, roll them down and back, and just simply take a few moments. Again, notice your butt on the chair, notice your feet on the ground, and allow yourself to sit tall, to sit with dignity, to sit with dignity. And allow your breath to come in through your nostrils. Feel it fill your lungs. And then as you exhale, letting it slowly escape back through your nostrils. And just notice and observe just a few in-breaths and a few out-breaths. Then on your next inhale, I want you to slowly roll open the windows to your eyes. And we're going to do something called orientation. So just like a dog, when it comes into a room, it immediately starts looking around to make sure that there isn't danger. So go ahead and just take a look around your room, around your environment that you're in at the moment. Even if you're in a car, this is also another really great thing you can do even in a car, is just simply check out your surroundings. Just for a moment, just be present to what's going on around me. And this is a way for the brain to know I am here right now. Just to even simply know that like I am an I'm right here and I'm right now, right? So this is just a really simple way for the brain to be aware of those things. Let's move on. So today it's to really understand what are the symptoms of burnout. That's really what I want us to be starting to look at as far as the individual, relational, but even systemic as we're building out our organization. So if you're a solopreneur, hopefully you're thinking beyond just like the one-stop shop. Hopefully you are thinking about having an assistant if you don't have an assistant, or again, having a small team around you, or maybe even a large team. So I'm really curious to hear what some of your all's goals are. So if you want to drop that in the chat as well, go ahead and just drop that in the chat. What are you looking to do this year? Like by the end of this year, what would make this year a really successful year? If we were to look back 12 months from now, if we were to look back at today and say, wow, it's been an incredible year personally and professionally, what would have to be true for you in order to say that? So go ahead, just drop that in the chat. That can be financial, but that can also be just interpersonally. It's like, I want a closer relationship to my kids or to my wife or my partner, right? So drop that in the chat. What is your goal? And I want you to encourage you that this can also be really permission giving to everyone else around you. Like, wow, I can have bigger goals, right? Number two, we're also going to uncover what are the deep and persistent sources that are creating burnout and other mental health issues. Because again, obviously we can't cover this all in a 60-minute presentation, but we're going to do our darndest to get as much through here as possible. And we're going to look at starting to design a personalized, holistic set of solutions to really start to move you forward at work, potentially for your team, your organization. So entrepreneurial burnout, okay? I also just want to acknowledge Darcy said a healthier, happier me overall, working on positivity. Brooke said better balance. Awesome. Holly said world peace. You go, Holly. That's incredible. So what is burnout? So I think we all have a sense of it, but Christina Maslow has a really good, she's a psychologist and sociologist, and she has this really great, she says, burnout is lost energy. It's lost enthusiasm. It's lost confidence. And I think a lot of us, and we don't need to drone on about the pandemic, but a lot of us over the last 2-3 years have really felt this sense of like disorientation to what the heck's going on in my world, what the heck's going on in the products and services that I'm delivering. How is that affecting my potential customers in the services that I'm providing them? So it's a really important thing to be thinking about is our mental health. So here, this is another one for you. I want you to drop this in the chat. Where are you? Just one word. Are you in burnout? Are you in engagement? Or are you in wholeness? Are you in burnout, engagement, wholeness? Burnout, obviously, I am exhausted every day. Waking up is just a slog. I feel inefficient. Like I just feel like I'm kind of like grabbing at straws to try to like get anything done. Right. Engagement is, hey, I have some energy. I feel involved. I feel connected. I feel relatively efficient, but that's not good enough, right? That's not good enough, because here's the truth. Like that would have been cool in the 50s, right? But I think for a lot of us, we actually crave something more, something deeper, which is wholeness, which is that this is actually sustainable. It actually allows me to flourish and it allows me to reach self-actualization. And why did we get into entrepreneurship if not to actually have a better chance at self-actualizing here on this planet in some kind of real, tangible, meaningful way, that we left behind a legacy, that we left behind something that truly made a mark on society, or at least on our communities, or even our families, or even just our son or daughter, right? I'm going to drop in the chat here for just a moment. So I'm engagement, but I want more balance and wholeness, says Carol. Do what's mine to do and let go of the other stuff, says Kelly. Darcy, right above the water, just enough to keep going, but need to rest very soon. Yeah, Darcy, I hear that. Martine says burnout. Riley, yeah, wow, lots of burnouts, y'all. Okay, well, hey, I also just want to encourage you, like, thank you for being here, because this truly, it's going to sound cheesy, but this is truly the first step to moving out of that. Because as I have a longing, this is actually true of the nervous system, if I have a longing towards greater engagement and greater wholeness, That's really organizing for my nervous system. So as I continue to press into the longing or the desire for more of that, it brings about more of it. So it's actually really, really great for you. So why does this matter? Why does this matter? Let's move on here, because The Hustle actually just surveyed more than 300 people on the state of their mental health. And this is entrepreneurs specifically on their mental health, and 63%, y'all. So I think we probably had about 70, 80% maybe in our group here from what everyone's acknowledging. 63% reported dealing with burnout. 59 said that they're dealing with anxiety. That's bananas, y'all. Other top stressors, financial concerns, day-to-day stress. And maybe just even, I can't see you, but just like raising your hand, or if you want to drop it in chat, like I hear that, or yes, that's me. Financial concerns, day-to-day stress, work-life balance, uncertainty about the future. I think uncertainty about the future, I think they're lying about that one. 12%. I think we all have uncertainty about the future. I guess some of it is, for some of us, we just feel more comfortable with uncertainty, but it's a thing that we all deal with as entrepreneurs, more specifically. So in 2015, Dr. Michael Freeman at UC San Francisco found some incredible results here. And again, this is some data from The Hustle, some self-reported mental issues, and I don't need to read those all to you, but Freeman is also a co-founder and CEO himself. So he says everybody can hold a job, some can lead a team or a club, but very few people can start and grow a business, he says. So basically, the research that they were doing validated that there actually is a major difference between job holders and even senior leaders at organizations, within an organization, versus those who actually start the businesses. So for those of you who are actually the founders, you're different. You're different, right? There's something really there's some special sauce in being a founder. And so I want to also just like encourage you today that you should also be like really wicked proud of yourself, because you are a founder. And that is really special. Because along with that, what comes of that, 72% of entrepreneurs report having a mental health history in comparison to the control group that he found, which was only 48% said that of comparison participants. So again, people that are either senior leaders or managers, or just hold down a regular day-to-day job, right? In the ambiguity that we as entrepreneurs deal with on a daily basis, right? And again, feel free to raise your hand, to drop something in the chat. Please don't give your entire life story here on the webinar, but if you're like, I resonate, like I get that, like, yeah, I hear that, if some of this resonates for you, so that we have a sense here. So what this really brings up is, which came first, the chicken or the egg? We have to start to kind of ask these questions because of the frequency of mental health conditions among entrepreneurs. We have to ask that question, like, which came first? Is it nature or nurture, right? Is it that entrepreneurship itself is the thing? And please, I don't have an answer to this. So please drop it in the comments what you think it is, and drop it in the chat what you actually think it is. Is it nurture? Is it entrepreneurship itself that's creating these issues? Or do you think there's some level of nature that's involved, that it's kind of like the people that are naturally drawn to this type of work are like, have mental conditions, like being a part of how they were genetically brought into this world? I'm kind of curious. What are your thoughts? So drop that into the chat. If you want to say it's both, right? Or you think it's just, it's just nature, or it's just nurture. I'm really curious what your guys' thoughts are. So moving on though, I want to talk about 3 levels of leadership, and really like owning your business, literally, but also metaphorically, like having full responsibility, fully owning your business. This is a model that we teach at Evolution. And this is really, really powerful. So if you have notes, I mean, seriously, I want you to please take notes on this. Even the One Valley crew is like, wow, that's really good. Like that makes sense. Y'all teach that. So we have 3 dimensions here. No, that's 3. The I dimension is the individual. And today is really going to be about you. Today is all about you. It's the fun part. All right. Today gets to be all about you. It's about, what are my behaviors? What are my beliefs? What's my calendar look like? How am I managing my self-care or lack thereof, right? But when we're working with an organization, we see that there's bigger things that come into play. So again, you may just be in the I dimension at the moment as a solopreneur, but I want to also acknowledge that there isn't a we component and there is an it component. Again, as the company grows, as your organization or your services grow, there's going to be other pieces. So the we component, the second piece, is the culture that I'm breeding here at my company that I'm creating, right? That like, if I'm the ethos of it, what's the we? You know, as you bring on 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 people onto your team, how are we communicating? How are we, is there just a level of respect and appreciation to the kind of community that we're building here? Or is it like, we just tear each other down around here, right? What's the culture that we're breeding here? And then it, which is just simply systems. It's the organization as a whole. The it is the thing that we're working on. So this is your systems, your processes, your checklists, right? This is, a lot of us really geek out when we geek out on business. Like, that's the it. The it is, how am I managing the overall system and the overall structure that houses the people and the services and all the other stuff inside of it, right? And so sometimes when we have burnout or when we have mental health issues, sometimes it's in the it dimension. Sometimes it's actually systemically inside of the organization. I built systems, or my team has built systems that are oppressive and that actually create and generate burnout and mental health issues inside of my team members. Sometimes it's the culture. Sometimes it's how we are operating as a team. It's what I was referring to at the beginning when I worked for that Netflix for optimal living or self-development. We had a culture there and we had some systems, but we had a culture that was like, let's hustle and grind and let's just crush it every single day, which is great. I get it. It's awesome. And there was no sustainability built in. It was like we were just sprinting every single day. And so there was, in fact, 7 days a week, we were all working. So there was no level of restoration built into our process. There was no restoration built into our process. So that was a really important thing that we need to be thinking about. But again, this is all going to depend on the size of your organization, but I will say it will still play a role. So, I want to take a moment. I'm like whipping through some stuff. So let's check in here. Again, drop this into the chat. What am I noticing? Like, just take a breath, just take a moment. What am I noticing in my thoughts? What am I noticing in my emotions? What am I noticing even in my physical body, like in my sensation? Maybe I'm like noticing my belly is kind of like a little tense right now, as Matthew tells me these things about burnout and about how this might be showing up inside of my organization that I'm building. And I'm throwing out a bunch of terms: organization, company, solopreneurship, because I don't know where you are on your journey. And that's part of the fun of like getting to work in smaller groups or in the one-to-one setting, is I really get to know you better, or your team or your organization. But on the whole right now, I'm just trying to speak to everybody as best I can. So drop that into the chat. Just checking in. What are you noticing? What are you noticing? So this is beautiful. Yeah. Darcy, thank you so much for your participation here. Christine, fatigued. I get it. I get it. You know what? I also just want to encourage y'all is like, you're not on camera. So like, please fully pay attention. But, and I really mean this is for the nervous system. Sometimes it's helpful just to like fully relax, like just like allow your body to just fully give way to the tired, to the fatigue, to the guilt. Yeah. Brooke, I hear you. Overwhelmed, helpless. Yeah. Well, that's what we're here for. And that's what One Valley is here for. That's what evolution is here for. We really do love to help everybody in every single situation. So we're here for y'all. And I'm excited to actually start to get into some solutions. So let's keep plowing forward here. What are some solutions? Please help me, right? Please help me, right? A lot, and I get it, y'all. I get it. I'm an entrepreneur. I like literally deal with all of these same things. I want to also say, like, I'm not the Buddha. Like, I'm not Jesus Christ. I haven't like figured out everything myself every day. I will say that one of the greatest things, actually, this is a writer downer. If you have a pen and a notebook, one of my mentors has said, it's not about perfection. It's about timing. It's not about perfection. It's about timing. And I'll tell you why it's about timing. It's about my time of getting back onto the horse. It's how quickly can I fall off and then come right back on. It's not about perfection. Please write this down. I'm serious. This is just for tomorrow. You're going to need this later today as you're like beating yourself up. It's not about perfection. It's about how quickly I get back on the horse. It's not about being perfect. It's really not. Guys, you can't be perfect. This is always going to be a balancing act. It's always going to be on a tightrope. And I have that long rod, you know, where I'm like trying to balance as best as I can. And it's all a balancing act. And so I'm going to fall off. And it's a matter of how quickly do I get back on. So that's what we really want to get into the practice of. How quickly can I fall off and come right back on, knowing I'm going to fall off. It's not a matter of if, it's just when. Okay. Cool. I hope that's helpful. So I want us to start thinking, y'all, where is my overall capacity? So this is a brainstorming exercise for y'all. And I want you to really look at this. So, and start writing these down. So I have relationships. I have my network and community, financial health, meaning and purpose, competency and action, right? Like I feel very confident in my work type of thing. My physical health, obviously, mental and emotional health, right? So just quickly jot those down. What's my overall capacity? So, and I'll go back if you need to catch any of them, but do I feel too stretched in any area? Right? Do I feel too stretched? Do I feel like I have more to give? Right? I want you to think of almost like a rubber band, right? Like there's a good level of tensegrity when I have it wrapped around my index finger and my thumb, when it's just opening up just enough that there's a really nice tension that when I tap it, it goes boing, right? But if it's stretched too far, it snaps. And if it's too loose, it doesn't even stay on my fingers, right? It just kind of falls off. All right, so there's a good tensegrity is what it's called, tensegrity. You can look it up. It's a beautiful term, tensegrity. And this idea that there's a good level of tension, but by having tension, it actually creates integrity in that system, right? So on a scale of 1 to 3, again, I'll go back, trust me, I'll go back again so that you can see what all these were. On a scale of 1 to 3, 1, I feel underutilized with too much capacity and energy here, like I could do more in this particular domain of my life. 2, I feel engaged with a healthy, flowing, symbiotic relationship in this domain. So we're looking for 2. We ideally want 2. 3 is, again, I'm overstretched and I'm snapping that rubber band. I'm overwhelmed. I have no energy, no resources to give to this domain. So then I want to ask, what's the most important priority here, right? What's one small action step that I could take this week to support in the capacity, in that priority of that capacity? So I'm going to go back here. Okay, so it's 1, 2, or 3. So again, just like the rubber band, 1 is it's too loose. 2 is it's a good level of tension. Like I feel creatively challenged here, but I feel like I have the capacity for this. That's why we're saying, where's my overall capacity, right? And then finally, I have 3, which is like I'm just stretched to the limit and I'm just snapping. I've just snapped in this arena. For instance, I know there are some people during the pandemic that just like didn't really do relationships. It was just like, I don't really have capacity for relationships. Right? Some of us just were there. That was like the zone we were in. Or physical health. I know so many people who got in the best shape of their lives during the pandemic. I know some people who went in the opposite direction. But again, it's going to depend on what's your capacity. So this is simply an awareness exercise. That's all I'm giving you today is greater awareness so that we can hopefully have some level of acceptance of where I'm at, of like, and some of you may even be crying right now, you know, that like, and that's very real. That's an acceptance piece. And then on the other side of that is inspired action. It's inspired action. So it's the 3 A's. So it's awareness, acceptance, inspired action. Awareness, acceptance, inspired action. Okay. Awesome. We'll keep moving forward here, but hopefully you really did this. And I'm curious, drop it in the chat. Like, what did you notice? What did you notice? Oh, Jennifer asked, could you describe competency and action again? Competency just means like I feel competent, like I feel capable of doing this thing. Like I like the tasks that I have in front of me, I feel like I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. That's what competency is. I know what I'm doing, right? And then action, it means like I know what I'm doing and I'm taking action on those things. I feel like a sense of I can do this and I do it. As entrepreneurs, that sometimes that one's lower for us, right? Because we're constantly running into roadblocks of like, I don't know how to do this. I guess I have to figure out how to do it. But sometimes competency is like, I'm resourceful and I will figure it out, and a knowing of that. Yeah, Ron says I kind of like being stretched some. Absolutely, dude. That's what this is, y'all. Yeah, so overall, yeah, Brooke, this is awesome. This is so awesome, y'all. Okay, cool. Let's keep moving forward. Let's keep the momentum moving. So this next piece, y'all, is called energy mapping. Energy mapping. Again, this is really in the I dimension. Today, we're not focusing so much on the we or the it dimension. We're going to focus really heavily on the I dimension today. So this is energy mapping. Okay. So our day, we actually technically, we actually technically run on a 25-hour circadian rhythm, which is interesting to note. That's just how the system works. But we work on a 24-hour time clock for whatever reason. But this is really important because there are ebbs and flows to our energy. Can we all attest to that? Like, give me a hell yes if that feels true, that there's an ebb and a flow. You can put that in the chat. Hell yeah to the ebb and the flow throughout the day, right? It's like 2 PM and I have zero energy. Some people, that's when they're at their peak time. Some people at 2 PM just like have balls of energy and they're just like, let's go. I'm ready to rock, right? I personally am a morning person. If you can't tell, I'm here in LA at the moment. It's 9 AM. So I'm ready to rock. But yeah, Brooke just mentioned Dr. Matthew Walker's book about sleep. Absolutely phenomenal book. But yeah, your rhythm is going to be based on your circadian rhythms. And there's so much you can look at. There's another book, I think, called When, WHEN, and it's about literally like when you are at your peak. There are different, they're called chronotypes. We're not going to get into that today. That's a lot of science, but basically to say like we all have different time cycles that we're really good in. So what I want to encourage you is that your hormones are going to fluctuate throughout the day, which is going to include your body temperature, your sleep patterns, heart rate throughout your entire cycle. So there's so much more I can go into. I want to keep us like really laser focused. So here's the thing to consider today. Write this down in your journal right now. When do you have the most energy? When you have the most energy, right? I'm serious. Write that down or drop it in the chat. When do you have the least energy? When do you have the most energy? When do you have the least energy? Yeah, some people are night owls. I didn't even acknowledge that. There are a lot of night owls out there. In fact, I would say probably 60% of entrepreneurs, maybe more, are actually night owls. I know a lot of night owls that like will start working at 9 PM and they'll work through to like 3 AM. And if you're an entrepreneur, you can do that, you know? So here's what you have now. This is the distinction, guys. This is where we call this energy mapping. What are my highest energy draining tasks? What are my highest energy draining tasks? Meaning finances, meaning admin work, meaning delivering my services. Maybe that's really draining for you. And then, so what are my highest drainers? What drain my energy the most? I'm not talking about important or not important. I'm saying what is the most draining stuff that I do? And what's the lowest energy impact? What are the things that just like, I'm flying high, I could do this any time of the day? I'm flying high. I could do this any time of the day. Again, this may be delivering your services. Maybe you're like, man, this is what I love. Or maybe you have a SaaS product that you're working on, you know, and I could be writing code all day, every day. And that's just so easy for me. And that's not draining one bit. I don't know. I don't know your life. That's where, again, we get to have one-on-one conversations if you want at some point. But this is the thing you got to consider. Yeah, Martine says, talking with my team, I could do that every day, all day. So Martine, what I would suggest, if talking with your team, I could do that every day, all day. If that's a low impact energy task, I would encourage you to do that when you actually have the least energy, technically, when you have the least energy. So now I want to encourage y'all to match those up. So the highest energy draining, match that with your high energy when you have the most energy. So what are my highest draining tasks for my energy? Match that up with when I have the most energy. What are my least draining? Match that up with when I have a little bit less energy. Y'all, we're entrepreneurs. We get to create our schedule, right? We're entrepreneurs. We get to create our schedule. No one else is creating it for us. We get to create it. If we're the founders of our organization, we get to create it. So start creating your calendar to reflect your energy. Somebody says, how do we figure out our, Japna says, how do we figure out our chronotypes when we have more or less energy? So just literally just Google it, Japna. There's a, if you just type in chronotype on Google, chronotype quiz or chronotype test. So what I would do is everybody right now go in Google, just type that in, save that tab, and then come back to us, you know? So just save that tab, come back, because you can take the test after this. I don't want you to miss what I'm about to share, but you can definitely figure that out. And it's super, super simple. So go ahead, save that tab so it's there, and then come right back. Okay, cool. Is that helpful? I hope that's helpful for y'all. So when do I have the most energy, and matching the things that take up the most energy, and when do I have the least energy, and matching those activities with the things that have when I have the least energy. Cool. So let's do another check-in. What are you noticing? Martine, thank you so much. Yep, the power of win quiz. That is it, Martine. Thank you. So let's do a check-in. Now, what are you noticing? Now, what are you noticing? Again, in your body, in your mind, in your thoughts and your emotions. Maybe you're kind of like a little daydreamy, which is okay too. I want to encourage you. It's okay to daydream sometimes. We're entrepreneurs. We're really good at it. So just like noticing, where are you now? Where are you now? Carol, you got me smiling about this quiz. That's awesome, Carol. Yeah, so just where are you now? Noticing, do I feel like, because I want us to like do an A/B split test here for a moment. Do I feel better than when we started? Do I feel better than when we started? Do I feel worse? Am I maybe coming to a level of acceptance of like, dude, this isn't cool. Like, this isn't actually sustainable. I'll tell you one of the questions I used to ask all of my clients, especially the ones that were burning out. I'd say, hey, how long do you plan on having this business for? Y'all, are you ready to like, just like really like take one to the heart? It's a good question. How long do you plan on having this business for? In fact, drop that into the comments. How long do you plan on having your business for? How long do you plan on having your business for? Is this something that you're planning to IPO and then, hand it off to somebody else? Or excuse me, IPO and take it public? Is this something that you're looking to sell at some point and then hand it off to somebody else? Is this a life thing? Am I doing this for the rest of my life? Right? And a lot of people will come back to me and they'll say, well, I'm doing this for the rest of my life, obviously. Like, this is something I want to do for the rest of my life. So my question is, if you want to do this for the rest of your life, then why are you treating it, and why are you treating your body like you're only doing it for the next month? Why are you treating your body and your team and your organization like you're only going to be doing this for the next month? Meaning, if I'm burnt out, how long do you think you can be burnt out for? How long do you think that that's like going to sustainably last, right? And we're talking about burnout, but we're also talking about anxiety. We're also talking about ADHD. We're also talking about depression. Like, how long do you think that you can sustain those things for? Right? That's probably not for life. Like, this is why getting help, getting support is so, so important. during this. And again, this is not a sales pitch for me or Evolution or even One Valley. It's like, get whoever you want, get a therapist, get some support, If it seems like what we're doing is valuable and what I'm doing, what Evolution can do for you, what One Valley does, please use us, but also just like get support. I just want to be like a stand for like, get support. It's a tough thing what we're doing as entrepreneurs. So let's see, as far as timing is concerned, I want to actually skip along because I do want to get into Q&A. So I'll just say one slide here really quick about getting into flow. We've all experienced flow, right? I think we can probably all attest that we've probably been in flow before. But flow is riding the edge of our capacity of where we're engaged, where I'm like fully all in. Like right now I'm in a flow state, if you can't tell. I'm so fully engaged with y'all, and still have more capacity to give. Like there's still more that's available, but I'm right on that edge. That's flow. So how do we do this? And the thing is, it's actually slowing down the mind enough and relaxing so that the body can come up to meet it. And we want to start to rebuild the relationship between our mind and our body, because the reason that we're burnt out or have depression or whatever, it's a lack of communication between our mind and our body. It's like our body's like, slow down, dude. You're reaching that end point, right? And we just like stopped listening. At some point we like turned off the faucet. And so like, how could we keep receiving signals if at some point our body was like, you know what, you're just not listening. So I'm just going to stop sending you the signals to tell you that you're exhausted, that you're burnt out, that you're whatever. Because at some point the body does, it just shuts off. It just goes, fine. It's learned helplessness. It's like, fine, I'll just keep living in pain over here until it really smacks you down. So ironically though, less tension. So as I decrease effort, or have less tension, right? Remember, a little bit less tension. If I'm like right at the end of that rubber band analogy, if I'm right at the end of that, if I release a little bit of the tension, there's more bandwidth for sensation and awareness for that conversation between my mind and my body. Kind of cool, hey? And again, that's where I would say somatic work comes in, but we don't have to necessarily go into that. I really want to do Q&A. I want to do Q&A, y'all. So let's dive in to some Q&A. So we're going to skip body-based breakthrough today. Let's do some Q&A. So I'm gonna end the share here for a moment. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to put up my do checkout and stuff. I'm going to give you guys some resources just for those of you that want to hop off. I would say stay on for the Q&A because sometimes you can have some really great solutions that can come out of this. So yeah, drop in the questions here in the chat or in the QA box, and I'll make sure to hit them. We're going to send you guys some resources. But I'm going to just leave up my thank you here. So if you want to write down, I would write down my contact. Because I can always send you other people at Evolution if you're interested, or I'm happy to support you one-on-one as well. But let's take some Q&A here. I'm actually really excited for the next 15-20 minutes here. Yeah, people pay Evolution a lot of money to work with us, so like I want to give you everything that I got here. So please drop it into the chat. You don't even have to come off mute or anything like that. Like I'm happy to just simply answer any questions that you have. It can be anything that we talked about today. It can be anything about mental health in general. It can be, I'm asking for a friend about something as well. But yeah, go ahead, drop something in the chat. And it can be anything we talked about today. Anything and everything that we discussed today. It could be about the I dimension. Could be about the we dimension, the culture that I'm starting to build here. At my company, or it could be about the it dimension, right? It could be about the systems, the structure that I'm building into my days. I personally really am loving this working with hybrid teams and like the work from home stuff. But the funny thing and the most ironic thing that as entrepreneurs, we were made for this. We were made for the pandemic, right? Like we all probably either work from home or maybe we worked at a co-working office or do work at a co-working office. But a lot of entrepreneurs, especially if you're early startup, like you were already working from home, so it wasn't too difficult. But yeah, for those of you that are in the sort of burnout phase, Brooke, yes. Brooke says, what are your top 1 to 2 recommendations for preventing burnout in your team? And Martine also dropped something here. So I'll answer Brooks first, but I'll get to you, Martine. Feel free to keep dropping them in. So let's see, 1 to 2 recommendations for preventing burnout in your team. I would say, oh, Christina, you're so welcome. It's such a pleasure. In terms of for your team, I would number 1 encourage that the weekends are sacred, that everyone turn off their phone. You know what's so funny, Ron? I do not have a YouTube or a Twitter, which is really funny. I'm going to start working on that more. Actually, I do have a YouTube channel. You can probably find me. It's just Matthew Thomas Cook, probably. Yeah, I would say the biggest thing, Brooke, for preventing burnout in the team, again, it could sometimes be across all the dimensions. Encourage them to self-care, but also it's creating a culture of we work 9 to 5, or 9 to 4 or whatever, set your times, but then like really hold to those boundaries. Because as organisms, as systems, as humans, what's really important for us actually is certainty. And so if somebody tells me 9 to 5 and we keep to that, I can trust that. I can really lean into that. And I can actually kind of like rest easy knowing like, okay, I'm like in it for this 9 to 5 period, but my boss or Brooke has set up a system so that after 5 p.m. we shut off, right? And again, what's interesting is you'll find that people are actually gonna have higher output during the 9 to 5 then. Because what happens is there's a concept I'll teach y'all called black and white time. Black and white time. So we'll just say like white time is your work time, black time is your play time. So we need to actually schedule both. We need to schedule both into our calendar personally. Because if we don't have we'll say the black time is the play time. If I don't schedule black time in my calendar, the white time is just going to creep into the black time. And you may find this, that when you're with your family, you're thinking about work. And when you're at work, you're thinking about your family. It's this really weird, and the reason it's black and white is because then it gets kind of gray. It gets kind of fuzzy, and all of our days just kind of like become this weird, right? This weird mishmash of not really having clear boundaries. So what I would say is create clear boundaries for your team, Brooke. And that's probably the biggest thing that I can offer, because I would encourage individuals to do the same thing. Okay, cool. Martine says, do you think that having a balanced life and modeling it for your teams help them learn and find their own balance? Yes, Martine. That's the answer. That's the answer. Yeah. So there's this book. There's this gentleman from the 1800s. His name is Wallace D. Wattles. Such a hilarious name. Wallace D. Wattles, like waddling. Wallace D. Wattles said, the world needs demonstration more than it needs instruction. I'll let that sink in. The world needs demonstration more than it needs instruction. There's plenty of people standing up on a soapbox saying a bunch of crap. If y'all knew me, you'd be really happy to know I actually do all this stuff. And you can probably feel that, right? But there's a difference when you see a manager who's like, hey, yeah, take care of yourself, but like is burning the candle at both ends, right? It's really obvious. You can feel it on people when they really take care of themselves, right? So that's the biggest thing I would offer. Yeah, Brooke. So Brooke's saying, I think there's a lot of discussion and encouragement about holding boundaries, but when leadership doesn't adhere to it, it can create an unintentional culture, the opposite. Yeah. So, I mean, what I would also encourage, Brooke, is like have a one-on-one with those individuals. And it's just like, hey, listen, like, it's really important that we hit our OKRs, our KPIs, we hit the goals that we have here as an organization, but also our number one priority is everyone's health, because we know that creates longevity for the business. So that would be the biggest thing that I can offer there. How can I survive this sunk cost? Al, Tesla stock jumped to 900 and I didn't buy at 50. How do I survive this sunk cost? I'm assuming that's also I get it. Yeah, I mean, obviously we want to be really intentional about when we're buying and all this stuff. Buy the dip. Yeah, so Carol says, do you recommend any books for balance? Do you have a book? I actually do have a book. Let's see. Let me grab it. It's actually really funny. If you go to Amazon, so I actually teach a system called body-based breakthrough. Body-based breakthrough. So body-based breakthrough. So if you just type in Matthew Thomas Cook, there's a journal. There's a journal that we wrote. I think we have about 75 pages here of content. And then an actual journal will teach you the practice, and it's a ton of fun. So this is really to start to bring together the mind and the body. That's an incredible book. I think I love it. It's a passion of mine. There's a lot of really good books out there. Atomic Habits by James Clear is a really good one. I'd say part of it too is just like, what's your interest? What do you really love, Carol? You know, if you're really interested in the nervous system, I think polyvagal theory is really valuable. If you're interested in startups, I really love, let's see if I have it around. I have this like tendency to like want to grab the book and be like, here's the book. There's a book by the guys from 49 Signals that did Basecamp, Rework. It's called Rework, is a really good one. Darcy says Grit by Angela Duckworth. Yeah, Grit's a good one. Yeah, I would say like the guys at 49 Signals that did Basecamp. Rework is a really good book. I love Brene Brown's stuff, if you're familiar with Brene Brown. Yeah. Oh, you know, another thing is Getting Things Done by David Allen. It's a classic. It's just like, that book is so phenomenal. Yeah, let me ask, are there any other questions here? Any other questions as we're starting to wrap up here? Obviously, you have my contact information. Please do reach out if you want some support or just have some further questions. But yeah, drop in any other questions here, because I'd love to give you guys even more wisdom here as we wrap up. I'm seeing One Valley is back on though. Any other questions?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for that fantastic presentation and all this. Really, a lot of engagement with everybody in chat. I want to thank all the entrepreneurs in chat as well for kind of like being real with yourselves and being real here. We're all here to support each other. So while we're getting that last question in the chat, hey, just wanted to say, Matt, thank you so much for your time. This is, I think, fantastic, necessary for our community. Forward to maybe hosting you and again at some point in time, having a check-in with the community.
Yeah, right on. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Let's see. Yeah. Cool. Well, I'm so glad to hear it was engaging, y'all. Yeah, we'll make sure to send you guys some kind of resources too. Let's see here. I'll end just want to make sure I can get out of the, how do you exit out of a, there we go. Yeah, so give you guys some resources. So we'll give you guys the 12 phases of burnout. There's an article from the Harvard Business Review on Beyond Burnout, and I'll actually give you guys a body-based breakthrough exercises. Just, we didn't get to go through them today, unfortunately, but it'll give you guys a little sneak peek of that. So what I'd love to do to wrap us up today, y'all, is let's just do, and if you guys have anything at One Valley that you want to offer, but I'll say, just drop it in the chat. What are you checking out with, right? Like, what's one thing that you learned today? What's one thing that you're taking away, or even just how you're feeling? Like, just how are you feeling? You know, what's sort of the emotional tone that I have at the moment? So glad to hear this was helpful, y'all. Yeah, Darcy, my body and mental health are important at work. Yep. Yeah, even at work. Yeah, Martine. Yes, Riley, schedule your energy draining activities when you have high energy and vice versa. Yep. Yeah. Awesome, Brooke. It's not about perfection, it's about timing. Oh, thanks, Carol. Awesome. Awesome, y'all. Well, yeah. Anything else on your end, One Valley? Otherwise, we can really wrap it from here.
Yeah, I think we're good. Matt, again, thank you so much for joining us today. Really looking forward to having this back up. So for the community that's here, if you thought this was engaging, useful, practical, and you want to go back and reference it, we will be uploading the replay of this webinar to our website in about a week, give or take. Matt, again, thank you so much for your time, and thank you, community, for turning out. Looking forward to seeing you in the next one.
Awesome. So welcome. So welcome. Thanks so much, everyone.
All right, everybody, have a great day. Bye bye.